The establishment makes Stephen A. Smith apologize for Trump praise and Biden critique. So let's go to that clip. That's a pretty simple, straightforward clip we can get through pretty quickly. So here it is. This is, and I can set it up by reading what Hotspot writes here. But let me get the right banner. Yeah, do I got the right banner up here? Yes. So let's read what Hotspot says here. Stephen A. Smith backtracks his comment on Trump when he said a lot of Black Americans may relate to the inconsistent application of justice Trump is experiencing at the moment. Do you agree with him backtracking his comments? Is what Hotspot asked about. Now, I covered Stephen A. Smith a handful of times, less than a handful of times, but a couple of times. He is definitely a Negro servant. He is definitely a coon-loving capitalist, and he says, I'm a capitalist through and through. He says stuff like this. He's friends with a lot of conservative people like Sean Hannity. He goes on his show a lot. Sean Hannity comes on his show. So that's who Stephen A. Smith is. So Stephen A. Smith, his whole sort of persona is to be like, I'm straight down the middle. I'm just calling balls and strikes. So, and that's how, and now he's in the political sphere. He's in just mainstream spirit, everything but sports. Now he's doing everything but sports on this show. And, you know, he thought he was calling it down the middle, and he's getting a lot of backlash for what he said, which is funny because we had the same critique here at RBN, that some people in the Black community, or those people who are supporting Trump. So those Black Trump supporters that are supporting him, I've said myself, there are some of those people who are supporting him see similarities in the sort of prosecution of Donald Trump. They see similarities in their own lives, in their family struggle with the same justice system. I've said that, and that's true. And I played the videos where people from TikTok, where people are actually saying, Black people are actually saying this on video. Yeah, this fucked up what they're doing to him, man. That's fucked up that they're trying to put all these bogus charges. You hear Black people saying it, and because Stephen A. Smith articulates that in a space where corporate ears can hear, even though it's the truth, he got a backlash about it. So he got a stern talking to say, hey, listen here, Negro. All those millions for you to gallivant the world and travel like one of us elites, all of that shit can go away overnight. Stephen A. Smith said, I got the message, and then he came out here and did this.
I wanted to touch on something that I made news about just a few days ago. Let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. Accountability is where everything needs to begin in this world. It's something I say quite often. I certainly never hesitate to hold folks accountable when mistakes or mishaps occur. So I'm certainly not about to run from it myself. I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well, after comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself. And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in Black America seem pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say, even the NAACP itself. Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the Black community with all the legal issues he's facing. For that, I sincerely apologize. To be clear, my words were misconstrued. I'm stating right here for the record that my words were taken out of context, misrepresenting and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in Black America evidently felt about what they thought I said. But I'll own it anyway. Because, you know, please know that I know the buck stops with me. I'm in the communication business. I've been here for 30 years. So regardless of whatever interpretation that accompanies any words coming out of my mouth, the responsibility ultimately lies with me first and foremost before anybody else. I've always felt that way. I still do. I always will. Period. Blacks who refuse to support Trump are aware of his history of issues. And we'll never forget how Trump claimed Obama, the nation's first Black president, wasn't even qualified to hold office because he was born in Kenya, although Trump recanted.
So he apologizes. He got a calling from all the Negro servants of the Democratic Party, the Roland Martins, the Bacardi Sellers, the Stacey Abrams, all the Negro servants over at the NAACP. He got a call from all of them. And that's why he's backtracking. But it not only to backtrack on saying I shouldn't have made the comparison, which is an accurate comparison. He didn't make it up. He saw with his own eyes what people were saying. And he just said it. So not only is he backtracking on that, he has to do more to make up for it. He has to now say some bad shit on top of it. So let's listen. To me, this speaks to adding this other part. Speaks to not just, oh, I made a owie, like, man, some real serious people that can fuck up my finances really came at me, so I need to actually put a cherry on top for them.
The buck stops with me. I'm in the communication business. I've been here for 30 years. So regardless of whatever interpretation that accompanies any words coming out of my mouth, the responsibility ultimately lies with me first and foremost before anybody else. I've always felt that way. I still do. I always will. Period. Blacks who refuse to support Trump are aware of his history of issues. And we'll never forget how Trump claimed Obama, the nation's first Black president, wasn't even qualified to hold office because he was born in Kenya.
There's a bad part. Now,
although Trump recanted the statement during his 2016 campaign run for the presidency. Yet Trump's dissenters were not the topic of discussion when I was talking to Hannity. The support he appears to be receiving in the polls was what was being discussed. 5 polls, count them, 5. Emerson, NBC News, Daily Kos, New York Times, and Rasmussen, all big national polls had Trump leading over the last few weeks. Plus, according to 538, recent local polls also put Trump ahead in battleground states. He's up 6 points in Michigan, Arizona, and Georgia each. Insofar as Trump gaining support in the Black community, well, how about various publications with these headlines? The Chicago Tribune. This time, Trump really does seem to be making Black voter inroads. Why? The Washington Post. Voters of color are shifting right. Are Democrats doomed? How about the New York Times? As Black voters drift to Trump, Biden's allies say they have work to do. Axios wrote, big Biden bummer. New York Times Siena poll shows gaps with key demographic groups. Wall Street Journal. Biden loses support among Black men. The Hill. Biden losing support among Black voters in swing states. Survey. Al Jazeera. Why are Black voters backing Donald Trump in record numbers? And CBS News. Black voter support for Trump up from 4% to 23% poll finds. Why did I say all of that? Because I want to show you I didn't just open my mouth. Right. I read.
You apologized.
I listened. And I've seen a momentum shift, as we all have.
So why are you apologizing? He's admitting in the video the apology you just gave because you got a bunch of calls from some Negro servants who served the Democratic Party. And then you go ahead and tell them, oh, these headlines is where I got it from.
Anywhere I appear, no matter my subjectivity relating to what I feel, is still going to be based on facts being presented into the stratosphere. That is who I've always been. It is what I will always continue to be. But it's never exercised with malice in my heart and soul. Certainly never to insult or harm the Black community, my community. My thoughts are put out there to present views I believe are pertinent, that alerts us to what's going on, what missteps may be taking place, and how, if at all, they could be corrected. I hope everyone.
So you had some Negro coons, some Negro servants say this is hurting the Black community. The same people who support the Democratic Party. Ain't that the kettle calling, the pot calling the kettle? You mean the people who want us to support the Democratic Party says your words is hurting the Black community? The same people who's down in Atlanta. Atlanta is ran by Democrats, sir. The ones who are building Cop City. Amazing. But it tells you when you ask the question, why is there nobody with money that's willing to step out and be, like a Malcolm, be like the old version of Muhammad Ali, putting his title and his money and his athleticism on the line, not athleticism, but putting on his ability to make money through his athleticism on the line for a cause. We're not going to have that. LeBron James is not going to turn around. Tiger Woods is not going to turn around. Michael Jordan for sure as hell is not going to turn around and go, let me use my money for good. Let me use the power I have to push certain legislation, to push certain. They're not going to do any of that. They're going to do just like what Stephen A. Smith did. Get a call, he's going to backtrack to keep his money flowing. That's what they're going to do. Just like he did it here. And what's telling to me is he gives the evidence that he didn't make it up, but he still apologized.